Now, we know sport is always on the back page, but today the story is so big, it's made it to the front pages too. Hello, I'm Sam Homewood, and we're coming at you from the heart of the Sun's office in central London. And Pep Guardiola is the story. Even though he's left Manchester City, he's still creating headlines because a new documentary is about to come out, and we've got some access to it. With me to explain this story is our journalist, Joshua Jones. JJ, tell us, why is Pep on the front page talking about his divorce?
Well, yeah, as you say, the sport is normally reserved for the back page, especially Pep Guardiola winning all those countless trophies for Manchester City. But on Wednesday, his Amazon Prime documentary documenting those last 2 years of his time at the Etihad is released. And part of that is seeing him interacting with the players. There's on the back page, it's the story about how he had a furious bust-up with Kyle Walker over the captaincy, and Kyle Walker essentially saying, did you even want me to be captain? Because the players got to choose. But actually on the front, it's him talking about his divorce and the pain and the agony and the commitment, I guess, that he went through to be Manchester City's boss. And the personal sacrifice that he put in to that, which for many readers, for many of our watchers and our listeners, actually, Pep Guardiola is the best Premier League manager they've ever seen. Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013. That's 13 years ago now. A large bulk of our readers won't remember the Sir Alex Ferguson era.
But everybody over 13 will know that the most successful manager of their lifetime was Sir Alex Ferguson.
Indeed, yeah. Just to make sure that's absolutely crystal clear, no doubt about it. However, 6 Premier League titles in his 10 years, a treble, including that Champions League, of course, in 2023. Pep Guardiola captured something. He's a quirky character. He's a really interesting personality. But there's an element that we call him Pep. We don't call him Guardiola. There's an element of people really connected with him while he was here in England. And I think this documentary, because it's going to kind of pull back the curtain on those last 2 years, and particularly about something so personal, him opening up on his divorce and telling the players about that has really captured, as I said, the front pages and the back pages.
Well, we've got more voices to talk about this one, but before we bring them in, here's a little look at that documentary.
Always said, don't think that we are unstoppable. You are perfect and you don't know why. In one blink.
Another horrible goal to concede.
You are in the desert. I'm tired, I'm so tired.
You start to really think that what is going on, we're so good, but then we just can't get it out.
To be simple, this machine is built to win. It doesn't work if we don't win.
And you know it's going to happen, huh? You know it's going to happen. You will have another manager.
We have the responsibility to maintain that standard.
This era, if this is it coming to an end, it's coming to an end.
In your life, whatever you're going to do it with passion. I don't want it with players. I will play it with passion.
Will there be a moment where you'll say, I don't want that pressure, or I want to change my life?
No, absolutely. I will not do forever.
Spaniard!
We have to do it. We have to write that. Take the pride. I want to win the game. Nothing is eternal. If it was, I would be here. My Manchester City.
So in that trailer, you can see that moment where Pep is saying, whatever you do, do it with passion. The preceding lines before that are him revealing to his players that he's been divorced because he lost the passion for his marriage, saying he still loves his wife, and then says whatever they're doing, they have to do with passion, highlighting that he didn't. Now, to join us in this conversation, we have the third most famous Manchester City fan on the planet behind the Gallagher brothers. It's Braydon Bent. We also have Beth Fisher with us, who I believe is on the red side of the Manchester divide. Braydon, come at us first. You've obviously met Pep in a bit. We'll watch some of those great interviews you've done with him. But first, have you ever seen him or heard of him being so revealing, especially in the dressing room, talking about his personal struggles as opposed to talking about the football that is happening?
Pep Guardiola he's a winner, and you can see, and everybody knows that you don't get to them levels and you don't win all them trophies by not being as obsessed as he was, and that's why he's one of the best, if not the best we've ever had. We all know, I think within the club, they keep it very tight and under wraps about what goes on behind the scenes, especially to do with Pep Guardiola because he's so protected. He's Manchester City's big man. I didn't know anything about his divorce or personal life until it broke and until everybody else kind of found out. But in terms of what goes on behind the scenes, as a person, you kind of know the character that he is, even if you don't look into it or you don't work at City, because you can see it. You see it in the documentary on the, on the sidelines, in his press conference. You get little glimpses of what he is like. And then, of course, when a big news story breaks and he opens up, then everybody kind of hears about it. But I think if you look close enough, you can kind of tell the kind of person he is and his obsession and his passion. But personally, did I ever hear about any of his personal life or his struggles inside when I was working? The answer would be no.
Obviously, you're a huge Pep fan. Beth, I'm going to come to you in 1 second, I promise. Obviously, Braydon, you're a huge Pep fan. You did that run, though, a couple of years ago where there was 7 defeats in 10 games, and that was around this time where he's in the dressing room talking about his divorces. Do you think now, looking back, why were you losing so many games? Is that why? Is it because he had other things going on in his life?
I think it's very easy to fixate on the negatives and in maybe periods where we didn't perform very well. And of course, you look at his whole career at Manchester City, 20 trophies in 10 years. I don't think anybody, has a catalogue like that. But in terms of, if we're being honest, maybe of the form at that kind of time, you could put it down to maybe some struggles in personal life. But at the same time, it could also be because the players were drained or Pep was just a little bit drained himself. I mean, you look at the amount of trophies we've won and how relentless, a game every 3 days, in training every day, on top of his obsession. And I've heard stories because I've met him in real life and I've worked within the club. I've heard, he's been up since 5 o'clock in the morning looking at videos and tactics when he's got training and he's got to be in the office for 6. So it could have been an element of burnout. But, it is coincidental, and you could say it probably is a factor that around the same time of his divorce, you're seeing form start to drop off. Maybe he wasn't communicating that with the players, and maybe the form got better, as you say, when he opened up, as you see in the documentary. I think maybe it's a bit of both. But in terms of that little blip in time, it could be down to that. But I don't tend to look at those moments because of all the best ones that we had with him.
Fair enough. Beth, welcome to the conversation. You've been listening to what Braydon's had to say. You've read the article. Just immediately, what is your thoughts about Pep Guardiola, his legacy, and the fact that he used his divorce in team talks?
I think what Braydon said, like, a lot of fans might actually be quite surprised to see that part coming out in the documentary. And actually, I think they will probably be quite emotional about it. And I don't even think you need to be a City fan to respect the passion that he has for the sport and as a manager. And interestingly, in that speech, he's saying that he wants his players to see him as a human being, as a person, and not just as their manager. So is he literally saying, I gave everything to you guys and to this club, and, you gave me this performance, which is after the 2-0 defeat at Juventus? Or is he just giving them an example of how you need to have passion happening in every element of your life for it to be something that drives you? And is that what he felt like they were missing? And I know that some fans will say he gave us his happiness and he sacrificed his happiness for the players, and he didn't feel like that was being reciprocated at that time. But also, you are in control of your own personal life and your own commitments to your family and to your wife. So I believe they were living apart for a little time, before they were talking about having a divorce. So was he aware, obviously, that she wasn't happy with the living arrangements, with the fact that his contract was extended? So some fans might just think, well, actually, all of this is too personal and we don't actually want to know anything about it. We don't want to be involved in it. So it's just hard to know what the fans are going to think about it, whether they're going to be invested in that side of it. They obviously love him as a manager. So do they want to know more about the personal side, or do they just want to stick to the game?
Well, let's ask one. Braydon, what's your thoughts? Do you want to know more about Pep? Also, we were looking at some of the pictures that are on the article, and obviously there's that picture where he's scratched his head and you can see all those red marks. Did that concern you at the time, or did you just think,
no,
well, he's bald, so it shows?
I didn't think either, to be honest. It wasn't a concern. Look, Pep Guardiola is Pep Guardiola, and I, first of all, let's go to the first point. I'd be interested to see what he's like. I mean, I've been with him. I've met him several times in real life, and one thing I'd point out is how much of a nice man he was. And not just to me, because obviously it's easy to be nice to someone when the cameras are on you, but I speak to people in the training ground who work at the front desk, and he used to go in the morning and he used to say hello to everybody, shake everybody's hand, and then in the team picture, if you go to the FA Cup final when we beat, the Carabao Cup final when we beat Arsenal, he gets a picture with every single staff member, every single one, and he makes sure everybody gets a picture with him. That was the kind of man he was, and you'll see in the documentary, which I haven't seen yet personally, but obviously you get glimpses of it. opening up and seeing him open up, I think I'll be emotional, and it's something that I do definitely want to see. And that scratching thing, you know, people hyperfixate on the bits of nonsense, really, and that's exactly what we're doing there. It was just one of those moments where someone's picked it up and that's the end of it, and maybe he was scratching his head a little bit or he cut himself, but you're looking at the wrong parts there. But yeah, if you're asking would I be interested to see his personal life and to see him open up a bit more, 100%, because I know what kind of man he is and I know what kind of man he was at Manchester City.
I tend to think JJ's here nodding. That's what we want from our athletes and our managers. We want to know who they are, we want to know what makes them tick. And I know you want to answer that, but before you do, let's just have a quick look at Braydon and his experiences with Pep.
Welcome to Manchester, Pep Guardiola. You've joined the best team in the world.
I imagine you're going to miss this place, Pep.
A lot.
Hello.
Is it really you?
Braydon. Give me a hand.
Oh my lord. Oh my god, 10 years, Pep.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
You grew up, huh?
Just a bit. It's been 10 years. It's been a good 10 years.
It's really you.
I am.
Well done.
It's really you.
Yeah, I am.
You think it is a look-alike?
Pep Guardiola.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I know this is not what 18-year-olds want to hear, but Braydon, that really is adorable.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank
What
you.
was that
In the
like
first
for
video,
you?
I've got about 2 teeth.
Tell us, what was that like? Especially the second time when you've gone back and it's the end of his career.
Well, the first time, first of all, it's worth saying that I didn't have a clue who was going to be in there. That was the special. That was the moment of it when I get in and say, "Is it really you?" I didn't know who was going to be in there. I had literally no idea. And then obviously I said to him, you know, we're going to win all the trophies. Where we're going to put them all, and it wasn't a bad prediction, was it? It wasn't a bad guess at the time. But yeah, I mean, as a young lad as well, I mean, it's Pep Guardiola. I knew it was him, but it's kind of all in the moment and just get on with it. But going back, he's been the face of my childhood. He has really been my childhood, you know, from the moment I remember watching City to, you know, still doing it now. He's been the guy in the dugout. It feels weird not seeing him there. And going in the second time, and basically it wasn't just a reflection of Pep at Manchester City, but I'm nearly 18. I was 17 when I got in the taxi not that long ago the second time. It's a reflection of my life. Some of the best moments I've had with not just football, which, you know, I follow every week, but also my dad and my parents. I mean, me and my dad was in Istanbul at the Champions League final when we won the treble, and that, you know, Pep's at the helm of that. And some of the best memories I'll ever have in my life when I was with my family watching Madrid, when we beat them 4-0, when we won against Aston Villa in the last minute. They're moments that I'll cherish forever. And going back, it was almost like reflecting almost my childhood with the man that's led it all. And when we went into the room at the end and seeing all the trophies, and obviously I was crying and it was emotional. It was one of those moments, and it's one of the days that I'll never forget. I always say the second time, well, the first time was the best day of my life, and the second time definitely was.
Nice. Right, Beth, let's move this conversation on a little bit, because we've heard from Braydon how wonderful Pep Guardiola has been. We'll all, I imagine, watch the documentary to learn a bit more about him. But for Manchester City, they have to move on now. Not a great start under Enzo Maresca. What happens now? Are they going to do exactly what Manchester United have done and now struggle to find the right person, to find the right formula to win the Premier League again? They might pick up cups.
I think whenever there's a shift like this, there's always going to take some time to sort things out. Like you say, you've had a long time under Pep. It's going to be a whole different dynamic. He is a very passionate man. Obviously, the players have great relationships with him. So it is going to take a little bit of time to work out now what happens. But will they have to go quite as long as Man United? I don't know. I hope not, because that's not a nice place to be in. But you've just got to give it a little bit of time to get the mechanics working and figure out what everybody's doing. And everybody also needs to build up like that relationship and mutual respect for each other again. So, you know, I think it's going to be a learning curve. But isn't football always that way? Like, look how much has changed under Pep. Like with just not just with Man City, but with the game in itself. Like it's changed so much. So that means that things can change again.
JJ, what do you expect Manchester City to be under Enzo Maresca?
I think Enzo Maresca is a new mould of Pep. We've seen the Arteta, kind of how he's evolved and become a manager in his own right, and we've seen Enzo Maresca do that. I watched him closely at Leicester, and there's a lot of similarities between them. Obviously, he's not Pep Guardiola, and I think Manchester City fans and football fans and the media as well have to remember he's not Pep. He looks similar to him in many ways. He obviously plays a brand of football that's very similar to him. He's obviously trained under him, but he's also a manager in his own right, and he's trying to build that. And you've got to remember, a lot of that team that won the treble, including the Champions League, a lot of them are not there anymore. This is a new team. This is an evolving team, and they touch on that in the documentary, how they had to evolve it and transition it, even while Pep was still there. Now he's gone. They're still in that transition period, and now they're dealing with a seismic shift in terms of a new manager. And I think one of the things that we often notice is players can stick around for years and years and years, and often it's the managers who go every couple of years. And almost at Manchester City, it's the other way around. They've got this element of a manager who's been there for years and years and years, and the players have changed during that time, and now they've got this big shift. And I think it's going to take time. It's going to take time to really get used to that, really get used to how they're going to adapt to Guardiola not being in charge. There was almost a safety and almost a reassurance that it's all right, Pep's here.
Braydon, is that how you feel? To a certain extent, does it take the pressure off a little bit that you aren't Premier League defending champions? Or do you see it that actually this should be a continuation? You won 3 domestic trophies last year. You should be challenging for all of them again this year.
Yeah, look, I think, as everyone's just said, it takes time with anything. You have to remember that the season's not even started yet. You know, it's still pre-season, the games that have been played, even though it was the Community Shield. We start assuming it's not yet. I think with Maresca, he knows the club. It's not like he's a random guy coming in that nobody knows anything about. You know, he's been at City before. It's his second spell. He had success at Leicester. He had success at Chelsea, even though he was there for not very long. And look, as I say, it's going to take time. We lost not just the manager. People talk about, oh, you're losing Pep and Maresca's coming in. But you lost a whole load of players. Even, we look at De Bruyne left the season before. You're looking at John Stones, Bernardo Silva. But even players like Nathan Ake or cornerstones are players that have been brilliant players for us. And then behind the scenes, Tiki, who was in charge of all the signings during the Pep era, and even Pep's right-hand man, who I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but he was called Manel. These are people that have been part of the club for the last 10 years. They've been ingrained into our success. And now they've all gone. It's a massive shift. It's a massive changeover. You're not going to win a Premier League overnight. And I think a lot of people are quick to jump on Maresca's back because of what happened with United under David Moyes. But I think the position that Alex Ferguson left United in is not the position that Pep Guardiola's left Manchester City in. I think the backing and the board and what's
You're
behind.
absolutely right, because in that instance, obviously United were Premier League champions, so maybe was there more pressure on David Moyes, perhaps? But you make a really interesting point about the backroom staff, because you brought up Manchester United there. A lot of United fans will point to David Gill leaving at the same time as Sir Alex to being actually a bigger problem for the consistency of the football club, and not actually Sir Alex Ferguson leaving. And do you think there's a possibility that actually that's where things have to be done right, regardless of who the manager is?
Yeah, but I think it's not like it's just happening randomly. It's obviously been thought about. The people that are behind City and who are working within the club obviously know what they're doing, and they've got, especially my backing, 100%. But again, it's going to take time. The change doesn't happen overnight. It won't might even be not the first 3-4 months. Might not win anything for a year. But you can't just then go on a whim of saying, oh, Maresca's not good enough and jumping on his back. Other fans can, but my message would be to City fans, you've got to get behind the players, you've got to get behind the manager. It's a new system, it's a new team, with new people in the backroom staff, as you've said. But I think the infrastructure behind City, I think you can see it in the parent and the sister clubs that we've got across the world. Our academy, we see how much money that makes and all the players that it generates. It's almost like a conveyor belt of talent and a conveyor belt and a well-structured club now that will continue to build. Madrid won all their trophies, remain at the top no matter what manager they've got. Barcelona do the same, and I don't see why City can't.
Beth, to respond to that, Braydon, I think it's been incredibly sensible. It's a little bit like, they're not completely the same, but a bit like how Arsenal afforded Arteta the time to build his team, and lots of fans at points would have said it's not enough, it's taken too long, but they gave him the time and they won a Premier League title. Do you think City will give Enzo Maresca the time that he needs to build his side?
I hope so, because like we've all just said, it doesn't happen overnight. And like, I'm old enough to remember that you won't win anything with kids. And like, then I watched United go and win the treble, and I experienced all of that. So, and then we obviously lost Alex Ferguson. So I've lived through all of this before. So I've seen it happen, and lots of clubs have seen it happen. So you just have to, I guess, give it time to work. So I hope, like Braydon was saying, that the fans will get behind the team as well and be like, let's just give it the time and see what happens. Obviously, Will it have a time limit? I don't know, but like we're saying, it's pre-season. We haven't even really got started. Like, you've got to give everybody time to settle down and just find where they fit and then work with that.
Okay, so to end this, the most impossible question, just because we need something to end. JJ, where are City finishing this year? Fourth. Braydon?
First.
Beth?
I'll go third.
Nice. My favourite answer there was Braydon, because he spoke to the camera and said, I would tell City fans to give it time. We might win nothing this year. Where do you think we're going to finish? First.
Manifest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Braydon, Beth, JJ, thank you all very much. We have more on that Manchester City story about Pep Guardiola on the site right now, and there'll be more to come.